I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Not gonna let it get me down. Not gonna let it push me over. Not gonna let it run me around. 'Cause I know the truth. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Doesn't matter what's on the news. You can't make my mind up for me. Ain't gonna hear me sing the blues. 'Cause I know the truth. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I am grateful for each breath I take. Yes, yes. I am grateful I am wide awake. Yes, yes. I am grateful for each passing day. Yes, yes. I am grateful. I am grateful. Oh, I'm too blessed, yeah, to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Oh, I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Don't you know I'm so blessed.
So that was Karen Drucker, and I am too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. Seems like a good way to be on this dreary, rainy Wednesday evening. Too blessed to be stressed. So let's just take a moment after that energetic beginning and center ourselves for an opening prayer. And we take a couple breaths, breathing in that energy of spirit, and breathing out all that we hold on to as stress. Breathing out worry and fear. And within each breath is a complete cycle. The intake, the infusion of our bodies, and the release and letting go. In this now moment, we feel complete. We feel open and ready to be filled with spirit, to hear the words, that Spirit would have our ears to hear. Hear the words that would heal, renew our hope, and inspire our action. We are grateful for this time together in our separation. We continue to be one in spirit, and so it is. Amen. So our daily word today is guidance. I don't know about you, but pretty much every day I could use some guidance about one thing or the other. Our affirmation is, trusting guidance brings me clear direction, confidence, and peace. When I get lost while traveling, I search for signs to help me find my way. Similarly, when I feel off track in life, I seek signs for direction. I may look to teachers for their wisdom. I read books, take classes, and attend workshops to gain insight and knowledge needed to make sound decisions. Beyond introspection and education, though, there is a deeper knowing. I attune myself to the activity of spirit by paying attention to my inner wisdom. I take time to notice coincidence, and I may feel the strong pull of a hunch, an impression, or a gut feeling. In moments of quiet contemplation, I discern what these phenomena mean to me, and I respond thoughtfully from a place of inner knowing. Our verse for the daily word comes from John, the 16th chapter. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth. So, tonight, our story is Be the 10th Leper. So I don't know if you know the story of the healing of the 10 lepers, but we'll go ahead and read it. It appears in the 17th chapter of Luke. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." And when he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God, except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." So, interesting that this story called out to me, because first of all, we can understand that leprosy is highly contagious. And physical distancing was not only expected to be voluntarily practiced, it was enforced. So the lepers would have been together because despite any difference in culture, religion, or economics before leprosy, now they were all in it together. And who knows how they knew Jesus was coming, but they came out as a group. Neither Jews nor Samaritans readily believed Jesus was the Messiah, but somehow this group of 10 was open to healing. Sometimes we're just made open. We are in a place of expectancy, no matter what our prior training has been. The 10 asked for mercy, and Jesus told them to go show themselves to the priests. They turn and go, not healed, but moving in the direction that they were guided to. Miraculously, the healing or the cleansing unfolds. Maybe you know the phrase, "We walk by faith, not by sight." So they were willing to head back towards the priests, even though in the moment, wondering, well, what are we going to show the priests? But they were confident enough to move in that direction. Only one leper begins praising God loudly, turning back to thank Jesus and to bow down in adoration. Now you have to know that Jews and Samaritans did not like each other. And although they came from the same origins, they did not respect each other's path very much. The Samaritans believed in the original books of the Pentateuch, but nothing beyond there. So they believed that they were the true Hebrew religion, not what the Israelites had done. Samaritans have a way of showing up in the Gospel of Luke as heroes, which is interesting. It's sort of the counterculture way of teaching, shocking people with stories that put people in roles that are the opposite of expectations. Most people would not stop for lepers, much less engage them. They would put as much distance as possible between themselves and the lepers. 6 feet would not have been enough. But not Jesus. Jesus not only stops and talks to them, he heals them. And is it the Jewish lepers who show up as grateful and acknowledge the source of all healing is God? Because remember, the Jews were the chosen people. Jesus was the Messiah of the Jews. But is it a Jew that is grateful? No, in this story, it was a Samaritan, which Jesus brings to the forefront of the story to make the point that Luke likes to make. That Christianity is not just for Jews. It's for Gentiles and Samaritans, and really just everybody. And what was the faith that made the leper well? Was it being a Samaritan, or was it just his relationship with God, who he immediately began praising? Jesus isn't really an advocate for being a Jew, or being a Christian, or being a Samaritan. Jesus is an advocate for love. Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. He's an advocate for that personal relationship with the divine power within you. However you access that, however you language that, is okay with him. So now that you know the story, what do I mean when I say be the 10th leper? Well, I guess we can throw physical distancing in there. Be the 10th leper and keep your distance as long as necessary for everyone to be safe. The lepers didn't stay apart because it was good for them. They stayed apart because it was good for everyone else. Be the 10th leper. Secondly, acknowledge God as the source of all healing and all prosperity and all wisdom. That acknowledgement, God is my source, God is the source of all that I need, is gratitude. A more evangelical phrase might be, give God the glory. The praise went first to God before the leper was grateful to Jesus. Grateful for Jesus as the perceived channel of healing. Metaphysically, we could say that spirit heals and provides whatever we need as a channel to access spirit. Maybe what we need is a story, or a friend, or a healthcare provider. Faith in God as source is what made him well, not the channel that was used for his healing to unfold. Jesus didn't say, I made you well. Jesus said, your faith made you well. Third, and I suppose this is a pretty subtle message in the story, but I encourage you to exceed expectations and labels. Hebrew and Christian listeners to the story of Luke in ancient times would not have expected much from the Samaritan. It still goes on today. The media labels and then presents an example of excellence as a surprise or an exception to the labels that they've put on. Recently, there was a lot of attention about the blind autistic singer who wins America's Got Talent. He's the exception. Why? Well, because we've labeled him. We label the singer, and then we lower our expectations of his gifts and abilities to use them. We use autism and blindness as labels that lower our expectations. Stop labeling people. And by all means, do not believe that you are bound by any of the labels or lowered expectations that others place upon you. Once you begin tapping into your divine power, you will exceed expectations. You might as well prepare for it. Get used to it. Set it as your standard. And if you miss that mark, just breathe and know that that is a temporary condition, a lesson, and then get ready to start again, trusting God as your source. Be the 10th leper. Aligned in gratitude with God as your source. Just be your best self. Being our best self. Being loving. Being kind. Will exceed the expectations of others. So I want to invite us to take a few minutes in meditation tonight. As we think about that 10th leper. Close our eyes if that's comfortable and take a couple gentle breaths to center into that point of power within us. That place of oneness with our source of healing, our source of good. And with the calm expectancy of each breath, we are grateful. Grateful in advance for our divine inheritance. Grateful for that divine potential within us. Is there a label that you've been living with? A label that maybe causes you to lower your own expectations of your abilities and your gifts. Imagine that label isn't real. Because it's not. That label is as flimsy as being wrapped in a layer of tissue paper. We strip off the labels because we are one with Source. We are one with God. We are one with that divine power that is our spiritual DNA, our spiritual identity. Breathe into the ways that you can exceed expectations. And every success, every tiny victory is a new opportunity for gratitude. A new opportunity to remember God is my source. So gently we bring our awareness back into this time and place. As we carry that story of the 10th leper out into our lives. And by out, I mean in. Our lives in physical distancing, in our homes, in wherever we distance ourselves. We do distancing out of love, out of caring for one another. As we bring our time together to a close tonight, we'll affirm the words of our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. May peace prevail in the hearts and minds of all beings. And if I see you on Sunday, well, I may not see you because Guida is doing the service on Sunday. So, have a good time, and I'll see you when I see you.